Yes. Okay. Good evening, everyone. I'll call the meeting to order. This meeting is a meeting of the Board of Education in public for the purpose of conducting Dexter School's business, school district's business, and is not to be considered a public community meeting. There is time for public participation during the meeting as indicated in the agenda below, or over here. On request of the superintendent, the district shall make reasonable accommodations for a person with disabilities to be able to participate in this meeting. Hopefully you do the roll call, please.
Mr. Aubrey.
Here.
Mr. Arnold. Mrs. Bruderly. Here. Ms. Greatorex.
Here.
Ms. Kangas. Here. Mr. Lundy. Mrs. Zawerda. Here. Ms. Rafferty. Mr. Watson.
All right. We'll move on to the meeting minutes. An approval for the meeting minutes from the meeting of, sorry, like, what? December 11th, 2023.
I'll move that the Board of Education approve the attached meeting minutes from December 11th, 2023 as presented.
One second. It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing no discussion, all those in favor of approving the meeting minutes as presented from December 11th, 2023, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. All right, we'll move on to the approval of the agenda. Board policy provides the superintendent of schools shall prepare an agenda for all board meetings as directed by the president of the Board of Education.
I'll move that the Board of Education approve the agenda as presented. Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion. Although,
If you say group will not be.
that's right. Yeah, no. So making the amendment that we will
Yeah, I'll amend the motion.
amended, seconded,
Yes.
we discussed it. All those in favor of approving the agenda as amended, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. All right, move on to our school presentations.
First one, Board of Ed appreciation. Just want to thank you for your dedication to the community, to the district. You've paid so much for this. You managed to lead through the pandemic and then keeping us moving forward. It's a great work. We have a series of gifts for you from different buildings. We have a video, and then because it's raining out, we got some official Dexter umbrellas.
Oh,
Nice. That's cool.
Thank you.
That's your day for the year.
So,
If we ordered.
we were adult on,
I'm right. Yeah, you've been meeting.
that's right.
The grandparents don't leave the program here.
Yes, you do.
Yeah.
Awesome.
You're teaching us, right?
Wow, thank you.
so, the flowers, and there's a little story from the deck. Jenkins has little placemats or posters for your desk. The stuff on the back is really cute. They asked the kids what they'd like to be when they grow up.
It's adorable.
You might need a magnifying glass. Wiley did a sign. I think they did these two. There's also a sign from Creekside outside, and the keychains and buttons are Creekside. And this is Alt Ed is going to be doing something they weren't in class the right time last week for this to work out. Oh no, I'm sorry, they did the snowflakes. They were gonna make that. Supposed to be by all.
Beautiful.
And then you're welcome to take one. Stay here. And then this video is from Dexter High School. Thank you.
Thank you so much for my education.
Thank you so much for your education, for everything that you do. Much appreciated.
Thank you to the Board of Education for providing the equipment. Thank you, Board of Education, for everything that you do for our students. Thank you, Board of Education, for funding our football team, because without it, we would the Pet Stars and Cold Phantom. Thank you to the Board of Education for everything you guys do. Thank you to the Board of Education. Sure.
Yes. Dexter Education Foundation donates books for the libraries every year. I can pass them around to donated this year. And they'll go to the appropriate library in the city. So one of the great parts of being on the school board is you get to hire your people. We get to recognize Kelly Nowitzki tonight as a shooting star. Okay, I know it says shooting on here though.
I would say shining.
This is-
Well, she's
I know. So I even checked my, but I also want to point out, Allie was just selected as a 2024 Michigan Council for Exceptional Children. Dr. William Morris, Teacher of the Year.
Oh, wow.
She does exceptional work with our kids. She works with some of our kids that need,
to read from my notes, my script. Dexter Community Schools have a tradition of collecting nice job notes, handwritten or electric notes by a member of the team, that their good work has been noticed and appreciated. These are read by the superintendent, forwarded to the person being complimented, and the number of notes is tallied with the Board of Education. Some nice job notes are really nice and represent exceptional work. We share these at the board meetings. For centuries, ships have navigated using the stars in the night sky to chart their path across the seas. Dexter Community School District also relies on shining stars to guide our route and map our progress. We are recognizing DCS team members who go above and beyond their job, normal duties, and set a stellar example for others. And we have been selecting them from our nice job notes. And Kelly has accomplished a great deal in her 2 years as head of the high needs resource room at high school. She has championed a thriving peer-to-peer program called SNAP, Students Need Accepting Peers, that began modestly with 7 learners and now has over 70 partner peers. At homecoming weekend festivities this year, SNAP had a float and a bus during the parade, and students participated in homecoming by attending the regular dance or the silent disco, which is a huge cool thing. Every single student had a chance to be part of these watershed high school experiences. Another achievement is bringing unified sports to Dexter High School. DHS earned the Unified Champion School designation from Special Olympics Michigan in February 2023. This initiative is a strategy for schools to become more inclusive through the power of sport, inclusive youth leadership, and school-wide awareness. Unified Champion Schools bringing students with and without intellectual disabilities together and empower youth educators to create a place of acceptance and understanding for all students. According to one of her peers, Callie just makes all of us feel a little special about who we all are. She's broken down old attitudes toward these special needs learners. I see lots and lots of our students in the district view for learners like any other student, and that to me is the greatest success of all. Lynn Nowitzki is the Dexter Community Schools alumna. The district is always proud to see our graduates go on to distinguish themselves as adults, and it is a special treat to welcome them back home to share their talents with our Dexter students. And as Dr. Tim has said, we've learned that she has been named the Michigan Council for Exceptional Children's 2024 Dr. William C. Morse Teacher of the Year Award honoree, which is pretty awesome. And she will be presenting to her peers at the MCEC conference at the end of February. So we have also a little certificate, and if you want to say anything, no pressure.
Well, thank you for
She didn't.
For all the opportunities.
It's so awesome. Thank you. Good representation up there.
Oh, I mean, thank you. Thank you for all the opportunities and all the support, and thank you to the community. We just did a can drive to try to bring in some fundraising for a silent disco that we're doing coming up for Inclusion Week. We're doing a lot of different activities and we raised quite a bit of money from the community, so we should be set for a while. So that'll be nice for the year for sure.
And she does expect all of you to raise money for the public lunch.
Oh, yeah.
February 28th, wear a costume.
Oh,
Little bit.
a costume.
Are we supposed to wear a costume?
Yeah. Are you gonna,
I just made it
are you
up. I
gonna,
didn't-
no, you can, yeah.
I didn't know if it was like sweet.
Are you gonna wear a costume or this year?
I don't know, I have to find what it is. I have a Shrek mask, I'll jump in my
There
Shrek.
you go.
You raise funds and it goes to the Special Olympics. You get to jump.
People
So
pay.
people are paying you to
Pay
jump.
to jump. Oh, my. Yeah, that's good.
You only get to jump if you raise at least $1.
You can pay yourself. You can pay yourself.
Nice.
You know what?
28.
I will donate $1 once you jump in.
Most my thing. I want to say thank you. I see that stuff on and you see the paper. You don't really know who behind the scenes, if you know you're behind the scenes, but you don't really. Anything's great, especially because it's inclusive, it keeps kids out of the way. Unfortunately, on the margins of the public school, keeps them included in public school. Okay. Stay. And I, something I mentioned, the real benefit is, the other benefit is the other kids in the community, kids at school, being able to interact with people. You might not otherwise interact with, if they didn't, they couldn't be. They're gonna interact with. A lot of old guys, but stuff like that.
I think the name of the program, Peers Accepting Peers, is such a fantastic thing to put. And, you know, just knowing there are all sorts of walks of life in this world, and to be able to interact and be with everybody. And, you know, the silent disco just was a huge hit, and I know all the kids loved it, so that's such an awesome, empowering, I think, for all the students. So I love it. I keep hearing your name, and I'm like, yes. Don't have the big side market day, so we will move on to our first opportunity for public comment. And participation during public comment, each speaker is allotted a maximum of 5 minutes for a total of 30 minutes unless otherwise not notified. Each speaker will be asked to announce his or her their name and district residence and indicate if they represent any organization or agency. No person may speak more than once on the same subject during a single meeting. Those wishing to receive a personal response from the board or superintendent must complete a public comment form available at the meeting entrance and or our website. In addition, as presiding officer, I would like to remind everyone that public comments should pertain to Dexter Community School matters and concerns related to the operation of schools or to matters within the authority of the board. Those who wish to speak shall direct all comments to the board and not to staff or other participants. Also, speakers addressing the board shall take into consideration rules of common courtesy. Speakers who make attacks of a personal nature and or who do not abide by rules of common courtesy will be reminded of such rules by the board president or presiding officer. Some individuals may be asked to leave the meeting if their behavior is disruptive or interferes with the orderly progress of the meeting. Also, please understand the board members do not respond to public comments, but we will listen very carefully and will follow up as appropriate. If there's an immediate need for clarification, we will do so after the speaker's allotted time. Great. Do we have anybody who would like to come on up to the podium for public comment?
I've just never come, so this.
All right, well, welcome. You don't have to. We do have another opportunity.
If something comes up.
Yes, yes. All right, no one else is running up there, so we'll move on to administrative and board updates, starting with our superintendent.
Craig coming up, I decided to pop it up so you can walk.
There you go.
We ran in several community forums about adding a non-transfer to transportation. That was back in November. December. Wrapped up for the week of December.
Yeah.
From those, we got some feedback and we went continue to work on some things, so kind of an update.
Yeah, so part of it, again, here's the, when we had the forums that Chris just said there at the end of November, we did both in-person and virtual forums. We took all the feedback from the community, everybody that came in feedback, talking with transportation department, members of you here from the board, building principals about what are our next steps moving forward. So our next steps, basically, Chris goes, we need to spend, I'm gonna draft number 2. We're gonna look at talking with transportation. We're gonna recommend going to a no transport zone at the start of next school year. That'll provide a lot of time, right? So what that does, we'll have to talk as a board and specify then what are those action steps that the board will take to officially move forward to that, to a non-transport zone in the district. By waiting that long, once we get that step in, just additional time for student safety, right? Find out where we want that second crossing guard. The maps, make sure our walking maps are all set, ready to go. We have ordered some reflective bands for those families if they want, just a visual aid for backpacks and arms for students. We can hand those out at open houses or at the start of the school year. And it gives families even more additional time to make a plan for how that's going to work. That was a big thing that we heard, of course, with student safety, having that additional time to plan for families. So that was part of the reason we looked at moving it out. We also, between now and then, there are current policies in place, policy 8600 and 8601. We will need to look at updating those policies. So that gives the time and us as a district time to update those policies. We did, one of the pieces is how we can kind of alleviate, part of it was how do we get our young 5th to 4th grade students to school crossing those major intersections. One of the things we tried out that really did work, it gets us back in time. We did have some buses that were able to get to the hub earlier. So we did test out the fact of doing a couple hub spots, right? One kind of about the old Copeland Administrative Building, one at Dexter Crossing, one at, one across the street. Get the name of it now. There you go, Huron Farms. The drivers were able to go get to the location that we said would be a hub spot and come back start. So we feel very confident that next year when we do this, that'll help the AM out. We can do a hub spot for those kids to meet, get on the bus, and bring them to school. So that'll help reduce that with those families in the non-transport zone get to school. So that is something that will start as well. We're going to look at buying additional bike racks for the schools to make sure just to add to our bike racks and look at that updated lighting to make sure all of our outside lights that can be lit are lit, ready to go for students on campus. And if there's anywhere to add additional lighting.
Can I ask a question about the lighting? I didn't think about before the crosswalks, safeties. I think it's probably a city issue, but is it possible? I know we have the blinking stuff, which people don't see even if it's dark out. Is it possible to put lighting posts on that sidewalk, on the side, either side? Not the flashing, but the light, so kids are standing there under a light. So people only can see them versus the darkened sidewalk.
We can talk a little about it. They're usually pretty receptive.
Yeah, we can reach out to them. We can reach out to them and get that straight. Yeah, I agree. I think that's a great suggestion, Daniel. So we can look at adding that as we work with the city for the crossing guard and just work. That's great call. We're going to continue to seek out additional drivers as much as we can. Deneen is constantly looking for those drivers. So, and that was the part for her was the confidence of, I think we can do it. I think we can do it. We can stick with this kind of rotational shutdown that we're doing. There's some weeks we're great about filling it, other weeks we're unable to, but hopefully we can find a few more drivers that maybe gets to that point, right? Just to kind of reduce those routes. We are going to keep the shutdown schedule though. Even though we do this, we'll still start next year because there's no guarantee that even if when we go to a no transport zone, that we might still need to shut down routes anyhow. So we just felt that's worked well for families. They love the heads up. I don't know if they love it is the right word, but just knowing that these would be the appreciate the heads up that these may be the weeks that we just can't provide buses. So we'll continue to set that up. One of the other questions that we're sure is inform families when our school doors are open. This is kind of our next step. We're going to do that right now. Hope's working on a great graphic to send out. So if Chris goes to the next slide. Right now, families, we do that. They can drop students off to come into our buildings as early as these times. They can drop them off to the deck as early as 7:50, Wiley 7:45, Creekside, Mill Creek, and DHS at 7:30. So those are the opportunities when kids and families can. The congestion was a big part of it, right? To have that discussion. So do families know when they can come and drop students off if they want? So that's something we're going to do right now to publish. So
Yeah, we all right.
yeah.
Appreciate what you do. when, kids who are driving on the road, either to be a teacher, an HS like that, they're driving other kids, or just be outraged, not knowing the proper thing, but are they allowed to bring other kids? My daughter was told that they're not coming in for a reason, you can't. It's kind of a gray area.
NHS means it's.
No, I can confirm if you don't have a reason,
And
because I may have that issue sometimes.
It usually depends, because what happens is when we get there really early for an NHS meeting, we have to buzz in at the door and just ask like, hi, what are you here for? Just say NHS, and then just let us right in.
Yeah, but it's, I think it's different for every like, organization. So, like for NHS, I think it's about clubs might have to.
It's not really- I'm not worried about people that are authorized or teachers are gonna be there for them. But if you're driving somebody in that's not in NHS, they're still gonna come.
Yeah.
So I'm going over, and I have an NHS student says, well, that's, no, it wouldn't be appropriate.
That's a good kid
that's
right there,
influence.
that's a good kid.
I just say, go on, anything's wider.
Right.
I know,
No,
it is a challenging issue at the high school, but that is.
Because you have kids.
I will agree with that.
Because you might, I
If
guess.
it's a vehicle they can sit in, I think that that's also a safe option. I think we're gonna be on where we're at,
There
right?
is no supervision.
No, I understand.
The word.
Yeah, we're,
Kids do stuff, but there's no structure.
you don't want 100 kids at 5, or 7:15. That's not just right. But if they go to the room with the other person. Or hijacking Craig and his.
No,
interpretation
that's
of-
fine. But you're right, it is 7:30 and everything, like you just said, of where, and Chris is right, supervision, right, staff are required to be there, tell so many minutes ahead of time, so that's after 7:30. If they're wanting, it's just all supervision thing, it really is before they go, right? And that'd just be a conversation, I think, with the high school staff, the high school administration about. what they-
I guess we could ask the club, the administrators, teachers, the different groups. In the morning time, we'll have something where kids are coming in, or being brought in, they just come in, like you said, sit in the back.
They can start their own club.
You know,
The breakfast club.
Yeah.
They start with the cafeteria.
I'm saying, some, NHS does this, give kids in the car. Right now, it's a sure, especially they don't drive. I don't want to, you know,
Okay, I understand,
we can do something.
Yep, we can look
But I
at
don't
it.
want to tell my, it's great. I don't want to do it.
My son would do the same. And that's not how it's supposed to happen. Alright. So, and we'll come to the board as Chris and I go and talk about the next steps for the board to move through that process of officially going to non-transport. So, we'll get information out to families, let them know kind of the decision here about when we're looking to make sure they have plenty of time to prepare. So by letting families know when school starts there in August or September, I guess it'll be September when school starts, it gives them those 8 months to plan. And for those days.
Can I just ask how many routes are being shut down currently? Because I feel like that's the first question. For example, if you're gonna do this, well, is it for the issue?
Right now, currently, we're able, typically, if we shut down, it's just the 2 routes. The 2 routes that are scheduled to shut down are shut down. So by going to a non-transport zone, that would put drivers, we wouldn't technically have had to shut any routes down right now if we had those 2 drivers.
But we're pretty regularly shutting down 2 routes.
Yes, enough. I mean, we've been able to, we always try to be more shutdownish rather than then be able to tell families, you got a driver, you're good, rather than the opposite, right? If we're not sure about a Wednesday, I'm gonna say we have no drivers, because it feels better to send out an email as soon as I know on Tuesday, you have a driver for tomorrow. Please come. So that's really when I work with Denise and Lori in transportation, is how we kind of look at it. They really try me. See our mechanics all the time. Lori, our dispatch coordinator, she's in a bus today, making sure it all works as much as possible. This week was a little unique. We weren't able to do some of the mornings because those 2 drivers that are 2 of our new drivers had to go to additional training to make it work, and it was just in the morning. So that's why it was We can do the afternoon, but we have to be at this training in the afternoon. It's so.
We can't.
It sounds like constant management. Okay, that answers the question. I appreciate
Yeah.
It's
These are not always done.
but
Yeah.
it'll be 2 less routes.
And we wait till Friday at that 4 o'clock when I typically go to send it out, because that gives us enough time to know what's gonna happen. I typically then too, kids are out of, what I've learned is when you send it, Hope can maybe tell me, when you send out information ahead of time during the school day, people miss it and they jump onto the thing, so we technically, it's like 4 o'clock. So I send out to let people know, and then same thing, it's usually after school, typically I'll jump on and say if something improved the next day. Thanks.
The next item updated is the multi-generational community center update. We held multiple forums, we held one in December, we had about 5-ish here. We held one at the senior center the first week we got back in January, 60 attendees. We had one that night, we had about put 50 chairs on it, it was pretty cool. Then we did a Zoom one last week, and we had 38, I think, with the Zoom. So lots of feedback, shared, lots of positive. Right now, we have officially, we have the $8.5 million. It started including expenses as of February 1st. For those funds, what we can afford to do in conversation with five health tenants, with the Dexter Senior Center Board, with city, with builder that owns the outlot and put the center, conversations for 8.5 million plus the 700,000 senior center received from the county to be able to afford purchasing the wellness center plus the equipment and building up to an 8,000 or 9,000 square foot facility, either on the outlet for the seniors or connected to the seniors. Both are being priced out based on what the needs are, the senior center board, so just decide which one. Based on the price, we should be able to do both. The tentative plan would be late February. The board will be presented with a letter of intent to purchase either just the wellness center or the wellness center in the outlet. Hopefully closing sometime in March. Longer. The construction, there's a jump through, but the builder we've been talking to, we would most likely be able to get that finished in a 7 to 10 month range. So if ground can be broken in the summer, it's done around this time. If ground can't be broken in the summer, then it's going to be a little longer. Senior center will move temporarily into the DTI space. So that space is open. Their new space.
In the Dexter Wellness Center. Oh, yeah.
And to give an idea for the senior center for 8,000 or 9,000 square foot, this room is about 2,000. It's a big building. So if you look at the pharmacy building, that first floor is 10,000. So it's about that size footprint. It's a big building.
How big they have to go?
About 2,200 square, the size of this room.
So we have to go.
They had more, but Encore keeps they have props to store. So project's moving along. We received, we should know about the $2.5 million leave request by the end of this month. They've been pretty firm. They're going to notify by January, in January. And then the Debbie Dingle request, if they ever get the federal budget done, we'll get something between 0 and 5 million. And that would allow us to do other things like if we get more of that money, we can set it aside some of the money for operations, startup costs. And we really could start connecting this parking lot, connected by property, and do some things that make sense if people own the property.
If we know an option being connected to the wellness center, that's the senior, what they want to do is funding available for. Do we still buy the lot A or?
Not necessarily,
Right.
but we still have the condo association.
That's what I'm saying, yeah, so if we don't own A, then we won't own majority of the.
So Sharon has been meeting with each of the owners of this building for the other buildings. Association. She's been working through, we're doing all the necessary steps, so that when we bring you something, it's organized. It is, we explained it to the senior center group when we met with the 60 senior center, almost as if, almost as if you're handed pieces of a puzzle, and you're told to put the puzzle together, you're like, but we're getting more pieces. But it's got a tight timeline, like the senior $700,000 that you're seeing from the county has to be spent by the end of this calendar year, and it's for interior. It's a challenge. We'll figure it out. We got it. Make something happen. That's what we've been working. We'll have it. We're working through fast. It's so much.
Did you record the Zoom meeting? And is that
I do the hard thing. I mean, we record it as information.
sure, yeah.
It really, they're interactive conversations. I'll be honest, the in-person conversation way. I mean, the Zoom was okay. In-person was good.
It was nice, though, it's nice to have that first presentation where you walk through everything and the why and everything. And because I know that some people are just interested in that information.
So we are meeting with our wellness, who runs the wellness center right now, it runs the Chelsea, they run soccer.
Yes,
Operates, we're meeting with our wellness.
they also run the Washington County, but it's separate.
So we're working through conversations with operators. Meeting with another operator that we're working, but we want to keep it as stable as possible when we bring it to our formal request or approval. It makes sense to try to limit parts. It's a lot of, but they're starting to slow down a little bit. Fair enough that I can show you that's what we can afford to do. We get more money, we can afford to do other things. For 8.5, we can afford to do that. And it would cost 17 million to build that wellness center building right now. And the builder that we're talking to, it's community project. They're the margin. It's a community project. Trying to make it. And then the last thing, the solar work, we are really close. The solar project, the contract with BT was finally signed off on last week. We have to do one last fundraising sprint to match the Jenkins Foundation donation. They gave us 100,000, which was raised 50, get under our already commitments. I think we have to do 25. So we're gonna have to do one last fundraising sprint. And then the install will be soon. Or Craig's working through that.
Meeting them tomorrow, start tomorrow.
But the DT, what we tie into the grid has to make sure it's something. So they have a process to make sure it's good. Later on the agenda is the actual, what do you call it, head end unit, switch gear. The switch gear proposal that we had to make sure everything tied together. It's moving, and the install won't take long when they get. So we'll be coming soon. Wanted to talk about that last. We've been in school 5 times. The texts are flying about tomorrow.
I heard it's gonna be 90%.
Yeah, no, I think we're talking the same thing.
So.
Which is weird because the guy who makes that decision is right there. I
know.
Read my name.
I had to have a conversation today with a kid, they're like, what? This person said there's like a 98% chance. I said, you know how much chance it is? 1%. He goes, how do you know that? Big decision. Actually, it's right now, it's the texts are flying in. I'll look after we get done.
Yeah.
I held out last week. We should not have closed month our 2-day limit. The rule is -20. Somehow the whole bottom of the state decided -20, well, it was -25.
That's just it.
And years ago, it moved to -20 all of a sudden. And now it must be like negative anything, I don't know. They're just dropping like flies, and I have to say, I grew up downriver. I grew up in a district that 5 square miles with no buses. And I think they already closed. There's no buses, there's no risk, I mean, you really gotta walk from here to Creekside. I don't know, everybody's closed, and we're gonna be going to school for July.
Did you live down?
But if the Lions make the Super Bowl, we're closing the day after.
Was that for the call?
If we're gonna have plant closing, we will have a building problem, inclement weather forecast, and something else, a staffing challenge.
Sounds like
Sorry, it'll be a potential building problem, potential inclement weather, and potential staffing challenge.
So that's because the entire state might be facing a massive epidemic that night.
No, you made the right call, that's, the driving was real, so, especially with all the high school drivers.
I think it was actually worse Thursday. Thursday.
Worse than Tuesday.
Yeah,
But you gotta do what you gotta do.
I held out, we were the last ones. My message almost said, we're the only ones left in the whole state, I guess we're close.
I appreciate the humor, when there's humor in there.
I tried. It was the hard thing, you have kids that sit at home, there's nobody there, they haven't had a good meal, it's cold in their house, they need to go to school.
Yeah.
At some point, we gotta decide, hey, we're gonna wake up, get dressed, go to school, go to work. We're helping them for their future. We gotta do it, we need to model it as adults at some. We're in Michigan, so it's very big. In protest, I walked around Thursday, Friday, with no coat. So it was fine. It was fine. It was fine. I'm like, it's really not that bad.
This has been a lovely walk.
And we're
Thank you, Chris. Board president update, I don't really have anything, just welcome to 2024. We're super excited to be here, for the 3 days that kids been in school. 4, all right. All right, students.
Sure, this is the first update, it's been a weird last couple of days, like we were talking about, just like sickness for me personally, it's been nice having time off, but it's like, it's weird trying to settle back in the grind of school and everything with all this other, but I'm still hoping for tomorrow to get off, because it's finals week, they brought back finals in high school. It's stressful, but I think it's good. Super prepared, so.
Marty, can you say that again? Did you just say they brought back finals?
Well, for most slots.
we're not changing the calendar. We close tomorrow. We're not changing the calendar. It's all happening on Friday.
All right. Your
That's where we're at.
your update is done. Close.
That works. If I get up.
Not joking.
Other than that,
Clip is gonna be shown.
other than that, winter sports, going strong along with the production of Frozen. That's very exciting. It's happening soon. The fourth plunge, like we mentioned earlier, February 28th, that's also real, so it's very exciting. I like that.
Yeah, so regarding the drama show, it's really interesting because for the show, I think the high schoolers who work in middle schools as well, and I think the middle schoolers actually have their own like Frozen production, which is really, really cool. You know, they get to like make these sets and get to act in it. I think it's just a really good stuff. You know, so I think it's a really good production. Personally, really excited to see it. My second update is the Special Olympics and bowling event that NHS had with them. So I think it was a month ago, the Special Olympics Committee, which is part of NHS, partnered up with SNAP and Beyond Health Event out with their event. So what we did was like bring out some high schoolers and take them to I think one place, and what they did was just help out the players. Yeah, that was a really cool experience. You know, but this is what it's here. I think it's just a really really connect with others. I And then another update is that a lot of new clubs are starting up, so I think this week we have the forensics club starting up, just really cool because they had a really successful season last year, so I'm excited to see how good they do this year, and I'm thinking of joining, so I'm grateful. And then my fourth update is the NHS blood drive happening next month. We have one coming up every 12. I think last month we had a really successful blood drive with around 6 donors, so I think it's really cool that we collaborate with the process for provide. So my final update is the band concert that happened in December. It was really cool because some IB students actually ran their CAT project, and the CAT project is like a community project that community driven project, and in their project they partnered up with the band orchestra to sell ceramic tools made in mixed classes at the high school, and they did was raise money, and that money was funded into I think Sprout of NHS, so I think it's a really cool collaborative thing that they. That's it.
We'll move on to our consent items. Our consent items are typically approved in full. We have our December budget report and our retirement.
I'll move the board of ed approve the consent items. I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? I will say it's always sad when I see a familiar teacher name. I mean, it's sad to see them leaving, but I'm sure they're going on other things. So that's great. All right, any other discussion? All those in favor of approving our consent items in bulk, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. All right, we have been consented. Moving on to our action items. We're going to start off with our first reading for our policies. Our packet includes draft policies requiring updates to match recent legislative changes. These were reviewed and discussed by the policy committee at their December 18th, 2024 meeting. At that meeting, the policy committee discussed moving to through as a policy provider as soon as it's feasible. It will be most efficient for the board to adopt the trim employment policies at this time rather than adopting the Neola versions now, and then the trim versions that transition happens in a few months. The committee has also recommended the following action: to adopt updates to current policies and bylaws 0122 and 0131.1, rescind current policies 3130 and 3139 now, and 3142 effective July 1st, 2024, to allow adoption of trim policies on trim subjects. Adopt policies T4108, T4207, T4407, and T4408 effective immediately. Adopt policies T4402, T4403, T4405, T4409, and T4503 effective July 1st. These policies are presented for action this evening. There are 4 separate motions for clarity. And just to clarify, the policies with the T in front of them are the trim policies, but we decided that the easiest way to do it is to keep the policy the same number so that when we're looking on numerically, we know where they are. Because the 2 people who are at the committee at the table. All right, so we do need 4 separate motions for clarity.
I'll move that the Board of Education approve policies 0122 and 0131.1 for first reading. I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion?
So this is a pretty cumbersome process with several laws where lots of. And as of the current policies as of February, mid-February are no longer, they're not legal, they're not compliant with law. We have been using Neola for policy service for reality is it's time to look through. policies. Policies are. So this is a jump process. It's really important policies that have to do with our part.
Neola is more, they cover different. Other different legal, so they go and have other states, that's why it's so kind of vague, versus true and specialized in Michigan law and it streams better, so it's just, it's a cleaner read, it's gonna match more with what the law is for Michigan.
And we found that we've been turning more and more towards true.
They're
or
more
things
just
that
that.
are- Yeah.
So rather than buying one single policy at a time. We like to, yes.
And this
We
stuff
recommend it.
today, it's been kind of one of the challenges, there's things that just over time, so big. That looking at all these things we have to do, really change 4 or 5 actual policies. But it's hitting all over. And some of the changes, like right in our board, in the board powers policy and bylaw, are striking out all what used to, all the labor laws. And then going into the next one, looking at 0131.1, adding a line because it's such a convoluted. Things are so embedded all over that in the event of a policy conflict, most recently adopted policy takes precedent for this weird transition. And there's some procedural steps to be able to get there, but it took the policy committee a while, and it took us days to get it organized enough up through today. Just to make sure, like, wait, oh, that's that date. And there are some rescinding of some policies, there's some existing ones and then replacement. But it's the way they did the laws, when they changed them back in November, they didn't have immediate effect. Some of the laws kick in like February 13th, 14th-ish, and some of them were put in place that they don't actually kick in until July 1st, but some intersect. That's one of the challenges. So it's hard, we do use True for a lot of our legal services. They have a full office that just, they've broken down all the implications of written policies that make sense. They're just not regurgitation of the law, they make sense. And at some point, we're gonna be negotiating over these items, so they're gonna work their way through the law. Policies are written in a way that it gives us.
Have any questions about the first one?
This first reading, I'm looking at specifically 4400, 405.
Yeah, we're not gonna have.
Okay. Yeah. So we're looking right now, we're just about 0122 and 0131.
Yeah,
Which
sure.
which
The
updates
bylaws.
hours in the event. Use the most recent dated policy.
And because it is actually too old.
So this is for the first one.
0122.
0131.
Yes.
Really? Aye. Mrs. Grader?
Aye.
Haggis? Aye. Mrs. Brown?
Aye.
So we'll need a motion for the next batch.
So I'll move that the Board of Ed approves the rescission of policies 3130, 3139, 3142. I'll second.
Been moved and seconded, discussion?
These are used to change the law, and they have to be referenced.
Kimberly? Aye. Mrs. Grader?
Aye.
Ms. Kangas? Aye. Mrs. Rivera?
Aye.
Mr. Lowry?
Aye.
I'll move that the Board of Education approve policies T 4108, T 4207, T 4407, and T 4408 for first reading.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Kind of back.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, it's fine. It's right there. I just want to make sure that moving on is.
4408 is regarding termination, 4407 is regarding support. And
And you know, there's different numbers, so he's saying the top one and then there's a corresponding second. Is that right?
The top numbers in the section and the number right below policy.
Thank you.
I also thought it would be have the name from policy here, but I realized it's hard. Right.
4108 is unit activity and representation. That is because the law changed regarding definition of union dues. Well, it is changing, it hasn't changed yet, but after the changing. Michigan law did not allow any reduction of union dues. Now it's negotiable. Well,
Wait, tell me what you do.
so right now, our policies currently say we will not either. But that's our law. In mid-February, the new laws allow that to be negotiated. These policies reflect on that.
Just to clarify, the policies that we are adopting in order to replace the ones that are now outdated, we, Dexter, did not make any changes to the policies as written by Trent. So we did not amend the suggested content, which follows the law as newly written. But we could, we did not in this case.
I wouldn't do
No, that would not
the
be
law, sir. And then the 4207 is to do a third party contract. So the current law, that current law through mid-February is that contracting a non-instructional third party or non-instructional service through a third party is prohibited subject to bargaining. So we just added a bylaw saying we support power, but it's not really a board power in mid-February. That is processed. Policy.
Call the question.
Greater.
Aye.
Ms. Kangas. Aye. Guerra.
Aye.
Mr. Landry.
Aye.
Ms. Rubenly.
Aye. I'll move that the Board of Education approve policies T 4402, T 4403, T 4405, T 4409, and T 4503, all effective July 1st, 2024 for first reading. Second.
Been moved and seconded. Discussion.
4402 is related to 4402R. Means it would not kick in until July 1 about placement. 4405R is about actual force recall. 4403 is about SOPR, about performance evaluation, which we have, we're going to have to start negotiating. Sort that out. All ourselves and the association are going to go over the law set. We can and do it. It's pretty about us. 4503R is also about performance evaluation for administrators. And then 4409R is about non-renewal. This all has to do with that. Evaluation. The laws do not become effective until July 1. Our current policy is to the laws.
People are not.
Right.
Now.
Now they're subject to their mandatory subject to bargaining. So the evaluation, there's components, but there's also board rights, and these reflect board rights, that original rights, really, we're gonna have to work together with the association. But this concern is the, for all of us.
I am questioning I don't understand the difference between how the two fit together. The 4408 termination, which we just talked about, which says that the board specifically for tenured teachers would tenured teacher may be terminated for reason of non-arbitrary conclusions, and that the board would review that. And the reduction in force, which does not, I'm not sure if that's the same,
Reduction of force is layoff,
right?
recall termination is
So reduction, if we are looking at layoffs.
policies written is about effectiveness. But aligned with what happens. In terms of the tenure act.
Right.
And then
It says that the tenure act doesn't apply, basically, right?
it does, if we're not tenure act, there are components of the tenure act. The tenure act still exists. And it actually has arbitrary. So this line. A lot of changes in the laws that.
Well, the challenge I have is that I would say that some teachers would potentially bring up is that the reviews are occasionally not as thorough as, you know, you might walk in and it's kind of like a test. You walk in and you see a teacher one or two times where they're observed for their 15 minutes, and it's 2 times a year in order to be evaluated. And sometimes that's not a full.
New laws and evaluation.
Okay.
And we have to negotiate. Components that require calibration in the evaluation system so that multiple evaluators will make sure.
Yeah, I mean, that's my biggest concern, is just making sure that there's not one person that's evaluating this person, and then there's another person evaluating another teacher, and then there's a discrepancy between the evaluations. I just want to make sure that it's.
What this policy does is it actually allows for that negotiation, because we have to now negotiate and relook at it essentially, and it opens it up to do that.
But it also finds more than just the evaluation or way up to recall. Because if you look, the current law, we have 4 levels of evaluation: highly effective, effective, minimally effective. We don't have anybody, I don't think, or we didn't have anybody minimally effective. So everybody was effective or higher, we still had to make decisions. We had to take another components. The new laws say effective, and then there's like 2 levels above it, or below it. So in general, 98% or 99% of people in Michigan are effective or higher. So to make recall and layoff decisions based on just the evaluation is not thorough enough to take into account. You have some teachers that do lots of things, so I know like forensics, which she's been here forever, but we need to offer forensics. So if we're making a decision, we're not gonna have forensics because we need to offer forensics. So you have to figure out, so that's what we have to have some criteria.
Okay. Good. That's kind of the conversation. Thank you. All right. Kangas, I'm sorry, Ms. Kangas. Aye. Mrs. Guerrero.
Aye.
Sarah Howard.
Aye.
Ruben. Aye. Mrs. Greater.
Aye. Moving on to our second action item. Approved trustee training. District encourages Board of Education trustees to take board certification classes and other education seminars on school governance. The state is currently reimbursing districts up to $99 per course for trustee attendance at qualified trainings.
I move that the Board of Education approve funding for interested trustees to take up to 6 CBA courses between now and June 30, 2024, including registration fees and associated travel, lodging, and meal costs. Any second?
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? I think that generally we put 6 courses down, but if people want more, if this is just a way, this is just a way to just put it out there. All right. Let's do our vote.
Swear.
Aye.
Mr. Albright. Mr. Burley.
Aye.
Radar.
Aye.
Aye.
We'll move on to approved signatories. Our package contains a memo and recommendation regarding updating the authorized signatories for the district.
I move that the Board of Education authorize CFO Christine Beatty and Senior Project Manager Sharon Ashby as signatories on the accounts and responsible for the duties outlined in the attached memo.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? This is just standard procedure because we now have Christy Beatty as our new CFO.
And we now have a cooperative activities.
Should borrow 2 signatures on the checks.
No, there's just one, right?
There's still 2 signatures on.
Oh, good.
Okay, so yeah, it's still-
That was your task. You.
The check balance, so the checks
Yeah.
balance, right?
Yeah, there's still 2 signatures. On trend.
I get an update. I get an email with the details.
Think we're ready.
Mr. Albright.
Aye.
Mrs. Burley.
Aye.
Ms. Radar.
Aye.
Ms. Kagan. Aye. Ms. O'Meara.
Aye.
All right, we'll move on to 4, which is our DHS first name change. Packet includes a summary from Executive Director of Instruction, Ryan Ritter, regarding a proposed course change name for Ivy Theater effective fall 2024. This is a clerical change. There is no material change to the content of the course.
I'll move that the Board of Education approve the renaming of Ivy Theater to Ivy Theater SL and Ivy Theater SL or HL effective fall 2020. I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion?
So they're in the same class, HL is 2 years, SL.
Yeah.
And the laws.
We're doing, but that's, we've been doing.
Or streamline. I guess I'm just have a process question on if it's really clerical change, is it really need more?
Yes.
Aye.
Ms. Kagan. Aye. Ms. O'Meara.
Aye.
Mr. Albright.
Okay, moving on to number 5, rezoning requests. In preparing to sell district property located at 2505 Baker, which was zoned residential when purchased in 2013, the district discovered that sometime during the intervening years, the city rezoned the property as public facilities. While DCS believes this was an error, the city has informed the district that we must complete the rezoning petition process, which would take 6 to 9 months. Additional details available in the attached letter. The district would like to formally request that the city expedite the zoning process to reduce financial harm to the district.
I'll move that the Board of Education approve the attached letter to the City of Dexter regarding property at 2505 Baker Road.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded.
Alright, so, and honestly, I get why they did it, when they were doing their updated plan, it just, there's the driveway, et cetera. We just want to speed up the process, ask them to. The question I have for the board, do you want, Sharon, do you want, or do you want to be within the motion and change? Right now, Sharon wrote it, and she started the process.
I can get the compliment. Just for the fact that it's not putting on one person, right? And board represents the community. Hopefully that the mayor will understand it. Community vote. And the council members will. It's not just one individual
The way this started is we actually tried to get an appraisal on the property, so we could see how much it would be worth to sell it. And we can't even get an appraisal until the numbers.
So can I, sorry,
Go ahead.
I just wanted to clarify, I think I looked it up on Google Maps. Is there a house and then two other houses before Creekside? So there is residential between, it's school, residential.
Yeah, the other two houses are not.
So they accidentally rezoned this one person.
I think it was logical in their minds because it was school owned. I get why it happened, but we need this, we should wait 9 months to fix it.
Did they clarify what process took 6 months?
Yes, we have to do a petition to one of the commissions. Or and then one of the boards, and then that goes to another board, then.
Did they mention that there is a?
Not yet.
Is there usually a process, like, should they have come to us before they rezoned it, our property?
There's plan. And we're exempt from zoning, so it wouldn't have mattered unless we wanted to sell.
So they were doing something that's exempt from zoning.
I agree with.
I get why it happened. I'll be honest, I completely understand.
Because they're gonna have to rezone. If we go ahead and purchase the building, we won't. Well, so we have to rezone it too.
And we're exempt, so they do. You
Yeah, I know.
So.
That's not like a former residential place. Would be a big deal. So I agree with Daniel.
Yeah, I think it should come from the board, and I think that we need to water a couple of phrases down in here. I would ask that the second paragraph take out to our surprise of this thing. Just start with the Fraser joined us. And then I also think that the fourth paragraph need to strike that at the beginning. I think it makes it fact-based. Well, also it's different if it's coming from. I can see, I said he could work with the person before I understand that. Yeah. But I agree with everybody as well. I think that a response needs to come to the board, and I would maybe even include all of our names on the letter as part of the board. I'm not sure, I'm looking at the third paragraph too, and I'm wondering. That as well.
I guess I would suggest that somewhere in this document, state that, it is our opinion, the highest best use is residential. And therefore, should support them.
So that would be looking at second.
Yeah.
The highest and best use for the person is as a residential. Residential zone.
I almost think the whole third paragraph isn't necessary. You guys can weigh in for sure.
I think my one should be the. So. I would like to put up front when we're trying, I like to. Just put up front, maybe because of the rezoning process, I make it takes. Looking for an exemption policy or that happening.
So we could probably get rid of the first long sentence, the third paragraph, and alter that last sentence, process shall outline include conditions. They would say,
The process presented includes, or presented by the city or something like that.
conditions.
And then have sentences if schools would like the process
Request an extra.
expedited process.
That'd be the first part.
Yeah.
I mean, it says it's not up front and reason for all. You have to go for all. Yes. They don't lose it all.
Why we have.
I appreciate it.
I agree with you.
So you want to move that to the very beginning and then moving back.
You can include that. For these reasons, rather.
In the very beginning, then, if you're gonna do that, then put the, please proceed with the zoning blah, 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 then that it's actually, because it is our, advertising as residential. In the first paragraph.
Start off with. It almost needs that first paragraph, it almost needs it for the back to the one. When I would read it, and just think start off the process presented by the city. Petitioning it.
It jumps to the end of the book versus letting.
For the regarding at the top, can we put regarding to be expedited rezoning? And that way they don't hang around.
So we start off regarding expedited rezoning of Dexter property. In the board, next paragraph, the board's opinion and the highest and best use of the parcel is residential. The school district would like to sell the house and remainder of the parcel this time because of we get rid of 2 hours of finding mistakes, capitalized T. The next paragraph, we read the first sentence, make it say, and it'll stand out with me. The process presented by the city, with petitioning the city planning commission and city council to amend the master plan. And change future land use designation of the property or the process. Commission, city council, and then the zoning map, one process, ECS requests an expedited process. And then get rid of the beginning of the next paragraph, that first sentence. Stop and, comma, and start with please. Proceed with your zoning property. And then sincerely, education.
That.
What's the title? What's the title?
Which styles, we use it, Green Construction was in it for a while, our building trade worked on it a little bit. We're at this like weird crossroad, we don't really need it.
It's all mostly.
We use the garage for storage, right now it's for our construction students use, that's their classroom. Yeah. But we really don't need
We won't need it for furniture.
it, it's not that big. It's not that big. It's a nice little house.
Is that it? Did I call the question?
I wasn't sure if we were done discussing. All right. Steve.
Graders.
Hi.
Vegas, hi. Zawara,
Aye.
Albrecht, Brutally, hi.
You need to amend the motion to attach or to approve the letter as we. Sorry, I think we need to amend the original.
Yeah. There you go. So I'm gonna move that the Board of Education approve the amended letter to the city of Dexter regarding property at 25.
I'll sign that.
Yeah.
Let me make sure it's all good. Do we need to read those guys? Okay, we're gonna move
I
on
mean,
to.
do you want us to revote on that or?
Does anyone want to change their?
Yeah.
I would say we're good. All right, thank you.
We will move on to approving the school calendar for 24.
I move that the Board of Education approve the next 24-25 school year calendar.
I will second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Any discussion?
We're gonna send a calendar out in January.
I'm so delighted to see this and I know a lot of planning parents really would appreciate it.
And I would just like to note it's the first year that's not.
Oh.
As noted publicly.
I see you call Brittany.
The idea is. For years, we tried to go 5 days in a row with maintenance possible.
it's just one down. Okay. With that, I call the question.
All right.
Debbie Angus. Hi. Sarah.
Aye.
Albright. Burley. Hi. Parents.
Hi. All right. So we have for our last action item, we have our series 2 bond work. Our packet this evening includes presentation slides regarding the following series 2 bond projects, including the DHS pool and Wiley pool, DHS sprinkler replacement, creekside temperature controls replacement, creekside windows and shades replacement, DHS and Mill Creek door replacement, Wiley service replacement, DHS flex space renovations, and Jenkins ECLC roof replacement. The facility committee met just earlier this evening to discuss bids. The bid summaries and recommendations will be shared and discussed for meeting order for the voter to vote. Yes, we need to make a motion first.
We have education in 8 separate contracts that listed in the cash letter. We given all the building and Granger for a total amount of $5,015,927.
It's been moved and seconded. We shall discuss.
All right, well, thank you all for having again. Greg McCullough, Principal for Operations.
Greg Brand with Granger.
So we went through the facility committee ahead of this. So as you all know, we're looking to end the 2017 bond in the project. So as these projects, just a real quick recap, there was a list of projects that was set through the bond and we've been working our way through. For the last set of bond monies to spend, we had prioritized what we needed spent. And this was the packages that we came up with. So our recommendation here, talking with the facility committee, we have work that's being done across the district. You will see here, there's bid categories and bid projects, right? Some of the things, the bid categories, general trades, electrical, cross, multiple bid packages. But everything you see here encompasses all the bid packages we're bringing to you. So you can look, if you look at the sheet there, kind of, you have all of our companies that we are recommending, the bids we recommend in the contracts. You'll see the number of the base bid at the bottom, base bid, so the lowest bid amounts for what we wanted was 3.245510. And then we looked at what the monies we had left to get alternates. So through that, with working with the facility committee, with myself, with Greg, with our buildings and ground staff, our B&G facility director, Brian Schuler, what are the biggest needs in the district? So to look where we spent our alternates. Our alternates, there was 2 separate areas for alternates. The very top was interior architectural woodwork. You'll see here in a little bit, we got a quick presentation. I'm gonna let Greg go through the types of built-ins were going to be of laminate. They recommended going to a solid structure, solid surface. So that was the additional 46,000 that the committee recommended. We want those good hard surfaces at the high school. The red deduct was just use a lighter corian that we're going to use. They recommended doing a lighter color, which actually was a savings. So that'll help us out. The other big thing as far as the recommended alternate, the building management system or the automation systems at the bottom, that is how we run heating and cooling systems, all of that. It's old and out of date. We are struggling to get pieces and parts. So as far as our greatest needs, those are our greatest needs that we can make through within the scope of work. So that total is that little over $5 million. To kind of talk you through real quick, we'll get to Greg here.
All right, so as Craig mentioned, we have 8 different bid packages. I'll go through these. If you have any questions, please stop me. I've said this like 6 times today, so I might go fast, but we'll start off with the Dexter High School pool.
Greg, sorry, just at one point, we talked about potentially starting sustainability. I think what landed on was that the facilities committee would look at sustainable options. So if there are things within this discussion that you'd like to point out that are sustainable, climate change and saving energy and that type of thing, I'd like to hear about that.
Okay, thank you. So you start off with the high school pool. It's pretty minor work at the high school. We're replacing the drain grates as they're starting to break. replacing the in-pool light fixtures, and then some grading and valve extensions in pool mechanical room. This work will probably close the pool for about 2 days. It's a very minor project. They're gonna send a diver in rather than grading the pool, get that taken care of. That's important because work at the Wiley Pool is going to shut down. Wiley Pool, I'll say now, from the end of May through the end of August, the entire summer. We get it done earlier, we will, but let's plan on the entire summer Wiley Pool being down. Replacing the drains and the lights again, the grate and valve extensions again, putting in a wider door to allow chemicals to be delivered. But the big work here is we're completely rebuilding, removing the existing filtration system, putting in a new filtration system. That'll be more efficient for filtering the water. Also adding in a surge tank to help with the basically the stillness of the water as people dive in or swimming through as water goes into the gutters.
Let me ask real quick, when was the last time Wiley Pool had those tanks and stuff? That was, is it something that should build or?
The filtration is, I mean, it's been maintained, but it's original to the 89-ish build.
So a little while.
When we were in Wiley, it was about the last time that was
Okay,
modified.
all right.
But we spent millions of dollars on that. Just like
Yeah.
600,000 pools, I mean, they're expensive.
Yes. And replacing some pumps and some
Yep.
other items. So that'll be a big project at Wiley Pool this. Moving on to the high school, we're replacing all the sprinkler heads in the building. That's based on some investigations that we've done and talking with the insurance companies, et cetera, to handle the water quality in the building that's included some of the pipes and heads. We also have noticed there's deterioration on pipes throughout. So we're replacing, we have a quantity of 400. We might have some or more or less, and we'll have a unit price to add or deduct from that. We also will get a report on the pipe throughout the building. So if we see anything else that is deteriorating, we'll replace it as the system is drained, rather than having to do it in a one-off project. Also adding in air emittance valves at all the different zones. So one of the problems we have is air gets trapped in the system, and so the inside of the pipe is rusting. That's how we're getting some of the failed or close to failure pipes that we have. Creekside temperature controls replacement. So this is replacing all the existing controls, actuators, valves, etc. at Creekside to maintain the temperature controls. And so this is when we're talking about energy savings and operability of systems for both again energy savings, but also human comfort. This is a very important upgrade. The systems that are in place now are outdated. You can't run them on modern computers, and you can't get replacement parts anymore. Even eBay is starting to dry up as far as the option. So we have Creekside in as the base bid. Two of the alternates that are being recommended are to do Wiley in the high school as well. That, along with some other upgrades that are included in the base bid, will bring the entire district up to modern, or the most current version of the software operating systems for the temperature controls. This would take place, summer of 24, and then some work during the school year, but all in classroom work will be done during the summer. So just Creekside windows, there's a row of windows that had a lot of issues through the years, currently broken, going down to the band room at Creekside. And so this will be replacing those windows with new, higher efficiency, and also called low E glass that lets less heat through into the building. And also doing the architectural fixes around that new window sills, new roller shades for those windows. That'll be this summer. Bid pack 5 is high school Mill Creek door replacement. At the high school, there are 2 pairs of gym doors that are damaged on the first floor that don't shut anymore. Probably noticed them if you've gone to sporting events going out near the cafeteria. Also, the doors going into the loading dock from the hallway are no longer operable at all, so those are being replaced in summer of this year. And then Mill Creek has a significant amount of doors, stairwell doors that are missing, that are part of our life safety, fire separation needs. The loading dock doors is rusting out, from salt. The kitchen entry door, is catching on the tile and just, it can't be undercut anymore, it needs to be replaced. And then the main gym doors that go directly to the outside on the corner of the gym, those are catching on the concrete outside, so both replacing the doors, as there's more damage to it than that, and the frost tubes, the actual concrete outside of the doors. Again, this summer. Pack 6 is the Wiley service replacements. This is the electrical gear lineup behind Wiley. You come in from the bus loop. We fenced it just a couple of years ago, but that is gear that's probably 40 years old at this point. It's added on to in the 90s when Mill Creek and Cornerstone were built, but DTE has recommended this be replaced for several years now. It's no longer operable. If we have to turn it off, there's no guarantee it turn back on again to do those schools. So this work, we're going to start immediately with coordinating with DTE, ordering the material, but the material won't arrive until late in this year after the summer. And this is probably just a 1-2 week project, but you don't feel comfortable doing it over winter break, possibly not in school. When parents need kids back in school after New Year's. So that will be the summer of 25. And we'll coordinate that with Wiley pool needs, making sure all the food is out of the Pack 7. Now this is an exciting one for people other than construction and buildings and grounds team. This is the renovations to the high school media center and the hallways and classroom pods. The media center, it's going to modify it into 2 spaces. Basically, they'll build a wall. There are the columns when you walk in. And on one side of those columns is going to be a collaboration center with some flexible furniture to allow for different types of classes to use it for a lot of different needs. Some very exciting possibilities in that space. That's really what we're doing and what we've done at all the other schools. And this is the version at the high school. And then the other side will still be a media center. We'll actually be able to maintain the same amount of bookshelves and space for books, as well as providing some better furniture and more flexible furniture. We'll also allow that to be used for up to 108 people to be in the media center for presentations rather than having to use the CPA or the gym for the kind of all staff meetings and those sort of things. Then in the classroom pods themselves, we're going to remove some unused lockers, and I've got a sheet here and a couple that shows where they are, but it will replace those with solid surface benches. That's what that alternate is that Greg was describing. So basically a aquarium bench that will allow teachers to send small groups out into the hallway to work on projects without having to sit on the floor or lean up against lockers like there. The actual benches for them to work from. This would be done in coordination with furniture, which is not included in our recommendations, but is included in our budget calculations. So we're reserving money for furniture that'll be brought to the board in the next month or 2. That's directly with TMP and correct. So that's why it's not in my recommendations. That's all this summer. So this is just the floor plan. You can see, that wall is what we'll be putting in. Modify the reception desk. We're working with the media center specialists on how best to modify their space to allow for this. So that's something that we'll be talking about next month or so.
Right now, what's that in the corner closest to the cafeteria? Those corners here will be glass. We're going to put glass to get a better visual in there to actually see. Just got to help brighten up that space a little bit as well.
If we look here, so this is the furniture plan. So the 2 areas in green are the collaboration space the media center. And then we talk about a front porch, which is that Craig is highlighting there. And so that's a space right outside the library going into the cafeteria that'll just have some tables and chairs for again, smaller group work. And then the other part is putting some furniture in that triangular porch. This would be outdoor furniture that could be left out year round, but just give that space a use.
Make it more inviting for students.
Yeah.
Think about it.
And then here, some of these spaces would have their own little TV setups, so they can be projected in the class, or groups could work individually. Some space in here that could be levels of seating.
Yeah, similar to at the deck where you get multi-layer seating to watch it production.
Furniture will be matching at the high school color scheme, so we can move and shift. Everything will be able to be shifted and rolled and moved and put all sorts of different.
Yep, and then these are those flex space locations I was talking about. So that's, these are renderings. We'll see what the actual logos are and everything. Or if we use that.
Different
logos.
font.
Yeah. But it looks good. And so these will be, like say, we're moving like the L-shaped group of lockers or in between sometimes they're like two resource rooms on the flat side of the pod. And so we'll be creating a bench in that space for the people being sent out in the hall to work. You can see there are 6 locations on the first, or I'm sorry, 8, 4 in each pod on the first floor. And then either 3 or 1 in each pod on the second floor.
So currently, right now, when you look, students are going to the end of the halls if they want spaces. If you're a classroom teacher who has a classroom at the end, you have a little bit more flexibility. Those in the middle, not so much. This provides that flexibility for those classrooms that are kind of in the middle of the pod areas that small groups of students can go out and access.
Okay, and then the bid pack 8 was the Jenkins roof replacement. So this is the roofing at Jenkins. It's basically everything except the metal roof, which you guys had a roofing consultant go through the entire district. Metal roof is in great shape over there. This is all the shingles, rubber roofing are being replaced. We did look at alternates at Wiley and Anchor, but we're not recommending them at this time. That's something that you could do. It could last until the next bond, or if something happens, patch it with your facility. So, that work would also be this summer, or possibly spring. We'll work with Jenkins since that's a year-round building to what the best time is. About 1 to 2 weeks.
So basically, everything that's kind of shaded here on this image would be replaced.
And then this is the budget. And so the Granger and TMP fees, these are from the agreed upon contract from 2017. And then as you can see, we're holding the budget here for all of the furniture. So we have picked a conservative number of $8 million in remaining bond funds to be construction. There's also funds for buses, technology and other items. So that 8 million minus the fees and the furniture minus our recommended or the base bids and recommended alternate, then holding a 20% contingency, which is quite high, but in case something comes up on the sprinkler system, some additional roofing is needed, whatever it may be, that leaves about $45,000 that's basically spent down series 2 of the 2017 bond.
And these projects were planned as part of the 2007. We didn't finish everything in that plan, but these are the remaining big items. Some things we need to do in the future. Some stuff. But windows. Part of that bid was we built flex space in the building. We tried to do the high school space the first time, it was 2.6 million, we only budgeted $1 million. And the next time we got it down to 2, and then we got it up even higher, and it came up with awesome. And that brought, and it was really reworking the media center that got smarter. It's a beautiful space. We don't need to do that. We don't need to build a second. We don't need a fireplace. It would have been hacked up. Project anyway. So we worked through process. The high school was the last building to need its flex space. Instructionally, it makes sense. You guys don't have to do it all day. I mean, we put those couches everywhere, we see students in the hall all the time, we want to build more options. So, and then the flex space of the media center is, it's the original furniture back in, probably been designed in like 2001-ish. Before the technology that exists and like, it's.
And so if you look, this is the updated letter. Thank you, for getting these printed out. But these are the recommendations with the alternates as we described. So we're asking that you review and approve assigning these contracts to Granger for our minute. So that will finish us out on series 2.
There's not a lot of exciting things other than high school work, but it's roofs, it's fixing the pool, some windows. I mean, it's.
But in any of them, all the stuff that you guys are talking about is clear, you know it. That's what it's talking about, the high school doors, the windows that you said, you know it, so.
This has been discussed this summer, they discussed this summer, and it's also discussed with the finance committee too. Got a little bit of, and all these things were in there, just takes a while to go through it, and then some of the stuff we looked at on the alternates. Safety being the number one thing, efficiencies, to your interest in building a patient system. And then the kind of long-term stuff that we get done. One we opened high school. That years now. Promise fire graduate, so it's also kind of, it might person be kind of. You know, spaces for that. Right. You guys all walk through those areas. So those are kind of. They're gonna have to start working. The list. So next. So,
Another million square feet building, 360 acres, something to fix, not unlike a house.
Right.
It's just when we fix it, it's $500,000. The building automation systems. We have to replace for excited high school, they don't make the parts and software, they don't make computers to run the software.
And the doors, thousands of kids go through those doors in various ways.
Yeah, yes.
And so Greg and I will be in, me working with Granger, working with TNP Architects, to already align the schedule for the summer. I've already, once we start to know and talk after our post-bid meetings, I've been in touch with community, I've been in touch with athletics, I've been in touch with building principals, like just really already building that schedule for summer of what it's gonna look like.
That's the thing that I asked you about Wiley Beach.
Yeah.
A very active pool during the summers, and not just kids, but also community members.
Right. Yeah, so we've already blocked it off. We've got.
We have a place to put them.
I know, sorry.
So we can work out some good rate.
Maybe.
It'll be warmer too.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I guess we're excited to get this work done. We are very excited, especially for everything we can get done for the building management systems. I know that I'm probably most excited about that because I know how much it'll help our maintenance staff really maintain our buildings, keep them running, and Jennifer, to your point, running efficiently, we really then get a handle on the heat, the cooling and everything. So really how we can be much more efficient.
It'll be better done.
That will help.
That they should close it. Windows that open and close consistently.
That are broken.
And I like the rolling chain. I have a couple questions. So remind me, we did build up our room and done all that stuff, right? The question about, there was a question earlier here, that we're looking at. Yeah, that's.
Yeah.
We have both our rooms are functioning.
Yeah, they're both functioning and stuff, and we looked at flow, but yeah, we haven't really done anything major upgrade. We did look at the function.
I'm just thinking about other things.
Yeah.
Are all the water pumps?
That is there right now, we're still working on that.
They're all brand new.
Part
They
of
should
the,
be working.
We did it with Bond already. So
we did budget to go forward with working to replacing drinking fountains, and putting more water bottle fillers. The state of Michigan is passing a law about filters, right? So we're still waiting to see what the guidance is on that. Part of it is, and they're talking about being grant monies to come back. if we make changes now, we can't use grant money, so we're kind of waiting to see what the legislation says, that if we can move forward. It's also, we're trying to look at, according to the rules right now, every drinking fountain has to have its own individual filter. We're trying to see, is that the case? Are they looking at, can you put a filtration system somehow in the front to make sure we don't have to? Because that would mean in every drinking fountain in all of our elementary schools that have everything, there's guys, so we're just making sure we have the. Yeah.
I don't think it's true. Maybe.
Well, we have a drinking fountain in every classroom.
I understand. I'm
And
saying,
I hear, there's a lot here, I mean, there's a lot of, according to that law, there's a lot of stickers, there's a lot of filters that have to have, so we're getting clarification before we change it all. We will have to have a water plan for each and every building, once we have clarity on how that works, but we do have it set up to get water bottle fillers in every building, and that's part of the law too. I think it's 1 per 150 or 1 per 100. Water, it's a lot of water bottle fillers.
yeah, we had a big discussion on that. Whenever we were, the ALC. TMP is the architect?
Yes.
Okay, so they're 8% and you're about 10.
We have a sliding percent based on the job. It's written specifically for the type of task. We have this massive contract that I'll promote back. That's 7%. We have these huge contracts, including that Greg Brand is. It has names in it and everything.
That's my favorite part of the contract.
Yeah, there's an approval process to change the names, and Granger has a fiduciary responsibility. by
Okay.
contract.
Okay, good. All right, and then, one of the bids, the switch line, you said that the work isn't until 2025, and I'm assuming this is, this bid is fixed, right? So I'm just wondering, how are they going to manage, how are they going to be able to deliver the service? Are you buying stuff now, or?
We are buying stuff now, so what we ask them is to procure the gear as soon as possible. The warranty will start after the work is finished in 2025. We also told them upfront, they're an IBEW contractor, they already know the wage rates for next year, so they included 2025 wage rates
Okay,
for
that
that.
was kind of my question, like, what is the way to go? Yeah, okay, and then my last question, I guess, is for Chris, and well, for you too as well, just the 45,000 remaining. I mean, I know there's a 20% contingency, which is high, but the 45,000 is low, so is that okay? Are
We
you
still
guys okay
have
with that?
little, plus the 2 million is for technology. So we're holding up.
Yeah, we did pull it that tight. It is unusually tight, but it was the kind of how we best wrap up that 2017 bond. So we can make sure we're being good users of the community's money, so we can then make a good proposal in the 2025.
35,000 off, maybe we don't spend, we hope we don't spend all of it. And we'll figure out what costs. Making some decisions. Looking at that facility study this year, we'll know. We'll know what that 2 million doesn't need a lot of this bond, or there's some projects that pay for us. There's things that happen, like we had, I never agree with the sinkholes started happening, Creekside and out here, where all of a sudden your drive is a giant hole. And we were able to use bond funds for that, instead of taking out of, general fund, which is nice, but there are sometimes. So we called on to a couple of million to get this big batch done.
You know, there's something where they continue, we had money, there's some other things we could look at. Within the media center, we've given some flexibility with the furniture. There was a couple really neat options, but at this time, the expense was too high. So for some reason, because the furniture is more flexible, right? And it's something we do start saving people. Some people.
We also took it down this far just because our staffing is very personal, so we're trying to do everything this summer. And I'll just come back and watch the electrical next in 25. So we didn't want to have superintendents spread out doing projects for the next 3 years. Done.
And it allows us, if you look at the way the things are, there's general trades, there's electrical, the electrical's working on multiple projects. So it allows us to package.
the time that you put into this, and all the stuff that you were learning and so teaching us.
It's fun to learn. Greg's a great teacher. He's a great good mentor to help me out.
All right. No, well, yes,
The end of
we did the motion, this was discussion. If there's no more discussion, then.
Mr. Rivera,
Aye.
Mr. Albright.
Aye.
Rudy. Aye. Ms. Greater.
Aye.
Ms. Kagan.
Aye.
Right, I know there's so much discussion. Is there a motion? All right, we'll move on to discussion items. We've got a quarterly financial narrative. Our packet included a financial update, narrative report. Financial updates to the board are provided at the close of November, March, May, June each year. This report is through November 30th, 2023. Including this financial update is a compilation of individual financial narratives that were prepared by the administrators, program directors, and department managers. This item is presented for discussion this evening. As always, very informative, thorough, and thoughtful.
Appreciate it. Yeah, we really appreciate the time that takes everyone to write it so that we can read it.
It does seem really transparent.
It does.
Yeah.
And this was from November.
Yes. Just first thing we.
Not the first thing, that was the budget, but no, this is new to me, but I love it. I think we got everything in this. It's great, so that's beneficial, but the process is great, I love the detail.
Thank you.
All right. Are you ready? This is our second opportunity for public participation.
Don't want to.
Same rules as before, if anybody wants to speak, this is your time. However, you only have 3 minutes this time, it's the express round. The second round. All right, we'll move on to board comments.
I just want to give an update. There was a legislative breakfast this morning. It was very well attended by superintendents, board members, and representatives, senators, etc. This is the meeting where people had a chance to let all of our elected officials know all of the things that we cared about that they wanted to see in the budget this year. So we got a lot of great updates about the Grow Your Own program that's so successful here in our county, the Talent Together that is statewide. I got to hear about things I didn't know about in terms of health education and what certifications are needed to teach that. I think it's a really impressive meeting to just listen to everyone talk about all the different parts that are being worked on around the county in terms of educating really K to adult at this point. We got updates on like the dyslexia bill, or actually several bills. Different legislators in the room have their own versions of the bill, so there was some interesting discussion of that. We got an update on the career technology program that is being developed by a new director that is countywide. There's a lot of really cool and exciting things about that. And then sort of there's a lot of push from our districts towards the legislators that we were going to have lengthy negotiations, and we really did need to know what the budget situation was for this year. And essentially the overall thinking was that we were going to be flat, like we're going to lose, but we're really going to gain. And then there was some push on making sure that, well, that as much money could go into people funding as possible, even though people like to have categoricals that they can show that they gave us money. So there was a push just countywide from districts that it's really hard to plan with that. And so they did at least repeat that it was hard for districts to plan. So it was a really busy and cool meeting. But there were a lot of cool things, so that's it.
Thank you.
Dexter is an Olympian.
Yes, yes.
I mean, how about that, right?
It's just
Humble.
your sister here.
But for that, at the field hockey, yeah.
Yeah. That was her mom.
That was her mom, I'm sorry, Taylor, mine.
Close here.
Big
Michigan,
campus.
This is.
Abby Taylor.
That's the, remember
That's
that
all right.
part of the rain investor.
Pretty awesome.
I just have something. Oh,
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
I just have, just from the finance meeting that we had in December, I guess we were talking, I just wanted to update the board. We were talking about this question that sometimes people bring up about, why don't we publish our checkbook? Why don't we, why don't we work to try? And what Chris was explaining, which I did not know, I should know, is that all of the reimbursements to anybody, so any board members, teachers, et cetera, that are made to an individual are posted. So you can go to the website and find that information. So I think that's kind of what most people are worried about, like, Jennifer got paid $500,000 for being a board member. No, I didn't. You can go and find out exactly how much everybody is paid.
I assure you, you're not.
So that's just good information in case somebody comes to you and says, why aren't you doing this? And one of the reasons that it's explained to me, which I thought was a really good reason, is that sometimes the checks, you might have somebody that will post a memo that will explain the disbursement, and it might include student's name or the reason for the disbursement, and it might be very private. And if that's not redacted, and we actually release that to the public, that can put us, the student, for obviously we're not allowed to release that information, but it puts the district at risk and stuff. So that's a very good reason. And we're in compliance. There were two ways of disclosure back in 2014, I think, or 2012, somewhere in there, that we had to choose from. And it was either publish your checkbook or do this disclosure, and we chose to do the disclosure. So I just wanted to bring that up so in case you were hearing about this.
But the other thing was also time. We were a pretty small business office, a very small business office. Remember before we talked about that line item, which we spend administrative costs versus teaching, we have lowest business costs in the state, per people. So it's very low. It's a good thing. More money towards teachers. And if people would want it, they can get it. We got to pay for it. And this is that people have asked for it. They don't want to pay for it. So how bad do you want it? You want to go down there and get in the weeds? Or you go in there and sit down, I've done before. And I've seen how you go all my stuff. You want it? Pay what you cost and someone will come in for that purchase time. Drill through hundreds of individual checks, make sure it's and redact all the personal information and stuff. So they wanted it, just that the people who asked for it passed, they were trying to demand something that we don't have to.
I have updates from the Education Foundation. This was, so in the fall, their grant cycle, they had over $50,000 requested. But they granted 29 fall grants, totaling nearly 35,000, so 34,614.15. All buildings submitted grant requests. Many of the grants this fall were to support STEM programs, 3D printers for Mill Creek and DHS, robotic coding kits for the deck, and also many grants supporting students with special needs. Silent Disco was one, and Brewing Independence for DHS, sensory calming space at the deck. And so there were a lot of, that's probably one of my favorite meetings to sit through, is to hear everything that's being submitted, and just so many awesome things that our Education Foundation is able to supplement things that we can't always get. So when we win next year versus Chelsea, that money will go through that. But they are, I believe, they are planning an in-person auction this year for May. We kicked out the last one. So
also February.
February 10th, the ABCD.
Yeah, but everyone seems to be excited about the leadership.
It's very exciting. I saw one of the baskets for that auction. It's very cool. Very nice. It's true, yeah. Yeah. All right. We have a closed session.
I move that the Board of Education move into closed session for purposes of discussing the superintendent's evaluation after a 5-minute break. I'll second.
Second, any discussion? Every time I can just, we're free.
We have to move on.
We can vote.
Calvin.
Aye.
Ruth.
Aye.
Raider.
Aye.
Angus.
Aye. You made it, congratulations.
Thank you all, appreciate it.
This is one of the longer ones, usually.
I know.
We had a lot.
You know,
Thank you for coming.